Hey everyone, welcome back to my latest video. Today we'll be going over the new Sanctuary update. So there's been a massive update to the Sanctuary where the Divine Providence has been buffed like to infinity pretty much. So we'll go over to the Sanctuary here just to take a look here. So normally you would have your Divine Resurrection and it slowly comes in. You have your Divine tasks every day and eventually you can actually get troops back that are in there. So for this new update, most of the troops that you're going to end up in this sanctuary will actually be in Divine Providence. So normally when you hit or get hit by someone, about 10% of your troops end up in Divine Providence. You can collect them after 5 minutes. That was the old kind of sanctuary thing. Now it has changed, so it is a huge update to that, and we'll go over everything today that we know so far. Obviously more information will keep coming out when more testing is done, but initial testing has been done and we know the basis of this. So let's actually just click on the button here just so you can go to the sanctuary here and you can see that. So nothing's really changed with this Divine Resurrection on the right. It's still exactly the same, except how many troops actually go into there compared to the Divine Providence, which is on the left. So let's go down here and we actually look at that. So the new Divine Providence, so the troops in Divine Providence are blessed by the goddess and can be rescued by her power. So before, like I said, only 10% of your troops would end up there, and the other, what's called 70%, would end up in the Divine Resurrection. Again, 20% of your troops would just die and they wouldn't end up in your sanctuary at all. So that really hasn't changed much at all. The goddess will rescue more troops when your turf is engaged in defensive battles. So nowadays, if you're hit or your turf is hit by a person, this is when the big update happens, because normally if you like hit someone or you hit a tile or anything like that, it is still the old update, so nothing has changed there. The only big update is on defensive turf battles. So when someone actually hits your turf, that's when you actually get this new crazy update. Again, we'll keep going here. The Sanctuary can hold only a limited number of Divine Providence troops, and Divine Providence troops are at full capacity. New troops will stop coming in. Remember to claim your troops ASAP. So let's go over that part, because then you actually get a visualization of what is going on. Hey, so let's take a look at the new update here. So this was a picture of my guildmate right after they were zeroed, pretty much right after the update. So shout out to them for getting zeroed for this information. But you can see they have 13 million troops in their new Divine Providence. Before, all those would have been pretty much dead because their sanctuary would have been, or their Divine Resurrection part of the sanctuary would have been full. They would have only got about 10% of the troops, and it had a cap. So now there's pretty much no cap from what I've seen so far. Obviously, it's more than 13 million. If there is a cap, it's really high. I don't know if there is, haven't seen it. But you can see there's 13 million in there. So that was actually about 60% of their troops that died ended up in Divine Providence. 20% will actually go to your Divine Resurrection, 60% will go to your Divine Providence, and 20% will die. That's pretty much what we've been seeing. It's like the old one, 20% die, and then 80% go to your Sanctuary. And this one, it used to be 70% go to Divine Resurrection, and 10% go to Divine Providence, and there was a cap. Now it's 60% go to Divine Providence, and then 20% go to Divine Resurrection, and there is pretty much no cap for Divine Providence. Obviously, Divine Resurrection still has a cap, so once you reach that cap, those what's called 20% troops will just start dying, and then you just keep getting 60% of your total losses in Divine Providence. So it's really not that bad to get zeroed anymore. I mean, you still lose 40% of your troops, but you get to save pretty much 60% automatically. Obviously, there is a time to collect, and it looks like so far from what I've seen that the more troops you have in Divine Providence, the more troops will arrive per second. So the less you have in there, the less will arrive. And I'll take a look at a couple pictures here and you can kind of see the difference. But like I said, there is a 6-hour full capacity no matter how many troops. And once that full capacity is what's called there, you have to collect before any more troops will be coming back. So make sure you're coming back and collecting your thing every 6 hours. That way you're maximizing the amount of troops you're actually getting back. So like I said, let's take a look at what happens after a couple hours. Hey, so if we take a look at what happens after a couple hours when you have over 10 million troops, you can see 1.5 million troops have come back. So that's after basically half the time. So we're assuming about 3 hours in, that should be, or sorry, 6 hours in, once it's actually completely full, it should be around 3 million troops. And that's with we're over 10 million troops. But obviously, that's doesn't really take into account the troop type or anything like that, because you actually cannot see what troops are coming back or anything like that. You basically just guess. It's mostly tier 2, I guess, maybe some tier 5, some tier 4 in there, but again, we can't actually see that. And once we get more information, I'll do a update video on this and tell you exactly what kind of troops are coming back and all that. So let's just go on for a little bit further here, and we'll go on to the other report I got. So you can see here, this report here is someone who had less troops in there, maybe some higher tier troops, but halfway through at about 3 hours, you can see only 174,000 have come back, compared to the 1.5 million of the person who lost more troops. Again, it might be due to the different troop types, but it might also be a percentage of the amount of troops that are in the Divine Providence that come back. Again, we will have to do some more testing, and more information will come out as this gets more into the mainstream and people have tested this more and all that stuff. But like I said, these are the initial things. It looks like if you have more troops, you get more troops back. But the actual percentage of troops that go into the Divine Providence and Divine Resurrection and the Sanctuary are pretty much set. It's 60% go into Divine Providence, and then 20% go into Divine Resurrection, and the rest are pretty much dead. So that's pretty much it. That's once your infirmaries have filled. Also, you can see here on the side, it does take the highest tier troops in here, so I'm not sure how that will actually be affected by the Divine Resurrection and Divine Providence. Will the higher tier troops get thrown into the Divine Providence once they fill up the Divine Resurrection, or how does that work? That's the only thing I don't know at this point. Once your Divine Resurrection actually fills up to capacity and it starts filling up with higher tier troops, what happens to those lower tier troops? So they just get completely destroyed? Do they end up in the Divine Providence? I actually don't know that information yet, and that information will have to be kind of sussed out over time as well, if those lower tier troops are getting thrown in the Divine Providence, or are they just completely getting killed like they used to when the Divine Resurrection fills up with higher tier troops? Does it just knock out the lower tier troops? Again, since we can't actually see what troops are in the Divine Providence, it's really hard to tell unless you actually go through the tests and resurrect them and see what troops come out and then calculate it that way, and you know what came in. So we'll do some more testing. I'll have an update video once more information is out, but this is just the initial kind of look at it. You see how many troops are actually ending up in the Divine Providence. I think this is a great news for people who get zeroed or even traps. Unfortunately, like I said, people are complaining that you can't migrate out with them, but honestly, who cares? Just build a big enough comp that you can take a bunch of rallies so you don't have to migrate. The only issue is obviously when they start pardoning and stuff like that. But that's pretty much the first look at this new update. Hope you guys are excited for this. Hope you guys who are getting zeroed are getting your troops back, and you guys can just keep playing, because obviously it really hurts as a low spender or free-to-play player if you get zeroed. Now it's going to hurt 40% less than it pretty much did before, because you're getting automatically 60% of your troops back that end up outside your infirmaries. So might even be cheaper to heal if you want to lose 20% of your troops doing that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any information, let me know in the comments down below. Shout out to the people in the trap chat who are crowdsourcing some of this information so we can actually get this video out for everyone. So shout out to you guys. You guys know who you are. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.